Alright, Kailani, it was very nice meeting you. I'm looking forward to our adventure together. It's so nice to have somebody else who has theory behind, in their tool bag. So a lot of this stuff, if it goes, just say slow down or ask questions about it, and I'll try not to get too crazy and confusing when it comes into it and try to explain it in more detail when you ask. However, I'm going to just assume that the basics are there and just do slight reiteration. But for what we do in the beginning, here's what it is. Spyder exercises. Let's get rid of playing with the thumb. Let's start play with the first finger. So on here, there's our tune. So we've got a flat or a G sharp, A, B flat, B. Then we're gonna hop up to the C string, play C sharp, D, E flat, E. Then we're gonna hit the F, F sharp, G, G sharp, B flat, B, C, C sharp. When we're doing this, we're remembering that all of these need to have pointies. They're all going to be collectively in here. And notice that you are just flying through these, which is awesome, but let's make sure that when we do these, that we have some sort of rhythm. So when we get into like, which was 1, 3, 2, 4, 1, 3, 2, 4, 1, 3, 2, 4, 1, 3, 2, 4. As we talked about, that's where you're going to change these up just to get a particular motion of muscle memory, whether it's, unbeknownst to you. When you're able to do these at like a 4, 3, 2, 1, 4, 1, 2, 3, and you could hear that inside your head and go, it becomes second nature to do that as a melodic movement when you're in a key. What happens is we're going to be going back to that theory and saying, well, if you're in a major, you could do the Ionian, which is a do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. We could do a Lydian, do, re, mi, fa, raise fourth, mixed Lydian, flat 7. If you're in a minor, you could be, let's say D minor, you could be doing D Dorian over the top of it. So you'd have, long story short, we're going to go over all of our modes, but that all comes after we learn all of our chords in secondary and third fingering positions, thusly to make our connection between chordal movements faster. Thusly, when we're doing melodic movements in natural, which is Ionian, or in any other augmented movement of those modes, like let's say Lydian, that the fingers will be in the right place. Hence, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 1, 2. If I were to play my F sharp on the second finger there, I would see how when I'm playing like a C sharp with that F sharp in there, it doesn't work. But as soon as I move that G in there, that augmentation still works. If I'm playing a B diminished, it looks like my G7, but in the key of C, I've got C major, D minor, E minor, F major, G major, A minor, B diminished, C. Well, what happens when I'm in C sharp? C sharp, D sharp, B sharp, F sharp, G sharp, A sharp, B sharp. B sharp's a C. What? You know what I'm talking about. So if I'm moving that up, my last chord before my C sharp has to be a C for my half step. T-do. It's not a C sharp though, it's a B sharp diminish. B sharp? What? But yeah, it's a C. It looks the exact same as our B diminished, except when we move it up, I can't have that G open. I have to make that G in A flat. So when I'm playing this, the reason why I play my B7 or my G7 in a second fingering is so I can move that up in bar for my resolution. Same thing happens with the A major, playing in second finger, moving up for a B flat, or an F major, playing in second fingering, moving it up for a F sharp major. So what I'd like you to do is, one of our lessons is take every chord you know, and then take your first finger off, put your second where your first was, put your third where your second was, and bring the pinky on to the fretboard. If we were playing a G major, it would look like a teeter-totter. Ready to rock? Here's my pinky all the way out here in Nowhereville. Here's my triad. I've got my G, I've got my B, and I've got my D. My 1, 3, 5. 1, 3, 5. If I move that in any way, shape, or form, I can move my first finger off that D, put my second finger, which was on the B, over to the D, take my finger that was on the E string on the G, over to the B for the bookends, and then currently put my pinky down on the 3rd fret on the E string for the G major. Does that make sense? So, with this G major and this G major, it's the same thing as playing an A major here and then an A major here. F major here, F major here. A minor here, A minor, A minor, A minor. C major, C major, C major, C major. C major bar chord. C major bar chord. B major, secondary fingering bar chord. B major, first fingering bar chord. Does this make sense? B flat, A, A. either way you cut it, you're going to be making muscle memory. What happens is when you move those structures up, I can explain it one of two ways. I can either say, hey, play an F sharp minor, then move that up, and see that this note right here, this E or this D, when I'm playing that chord, I basically am playing a G minor. Except I'm not playing a G minor traditionally, like we would have this G, keep this G here, switch your D, put your B flat in there to change your median. There's one of those vocabulary terms. Flatten your third, flatten your median to make a G major or G minor. Well, if I replace my third finger on the G with my pinky, I now have that finger free to hit my high G, which is the unison note of my first finger, thusly giving me this. If I take this note away and I add this note by changing my structure, by making that same backwards triad, that's how I get my G minor. Thusly my A flat minor, A minor, B flat minor, B minor, so on and so forth. So what we're going to be doing is calling out our chords, learning them in a different style in the next 2 lessons. This lesson and the next lesson. Tail end of next lesson, we're going to talk about our 7ths diminished. So our G major, G diminished, G dominant, so our G major 7, our G dominant 7, and as you saw, our G6, we can keep going. G5, G flat 5, G4, G3, G flat 2nd, G natural 2, G1. So where we're going is go through all of your chords, find out how to play them in a secondary fingering pattern, and get used to switching them in rhythm. If you can't do 1, 2, 3, 4, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, don't do quarters and eighth notes. Do half notes and quarters. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. And if you can't do the half note quarter, try whole note, half note until you can. 1, 2, 3, 4, 2, 2, 3, 4, 3, 2, 3, 4, 1 and 2 and 1 and 2, C and 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 and so on and so forth. I can hardly do eighth notes on some of these chords, and I sure as hell can't do 32nd notes. So, long story short, there's the first 2 lessons. You can choose to do 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. The only caveats I have for that are you play with the finger rather than the thumb, and that when you do layer these, that you don't stick the other fingers way out to space when you start hammering on these numbers. You want to keep it all close to the fretboard, right? All right, I really enjoyed today's lessons. I'll see you next week. Aloha.